Wow guys, what is happening? Is it for real or they're saying that for whatever reason? Like for example here, JD Vance says United States considering Tomahawk missiles for Ukraine. Wow guys, if they really transfer Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, I'll stop mocking Donald Trump on my entire channels, but I won't believe it until I see it, also knowing the details about Tomahawk missiles, that the land-based launchers, they're kind of rare and they're not available on stocks. And even here you can see the image that specific missile has been launched from the ship because they're ship-based or submarine-based. According to the 3T, which by the way was exited by United States back in 2019, then Donald Trump was the president of the United States during his first term, those kind of the cruise missiles should not have the ground launchers. It was applied for United States of America and for Russia as well. But as you already know, United States exited that stuff, Russia as well. So the ground-based launching platforms have already been designed, but they're not in massive production. There are just few of the units produced for test purposes, and unfortunately it might take lots of the time for Ukraine to obtain those. Or as a variant, Ukraine might obtain those kind of the ships to launch those cruise missiles, but I don't think that United States will supply that combo. So here's the article. It was published back in 2022 about the ground launcher units. They're capable to launch both SM-6 and Tomahawk missiles. And here's how it looks, basically the casing, a box, and here you can see definitely a Tomahawk which has been launched from the ground. Mainly they take this cell from the ship, modernized it, put on this carriage, and here you go, the test launch, which was by the way conducted quite successfully. The ground-based Tomahawk system may include several of the tracks. The launcher itself, it is a special track with communication and guidance control equipment. Also there is a reload trailer, basically it changes those cassettes inside the launcher. I think it also should have some sort of the crane. And a small support vehicle like Humvee which carries GPU, so ground power unit, basically a generator that produces electricity for entire operation. This is the communication center or control center, could be one more vehicle. I would say it's kind of similar to Patriot system, just the purpose is a little different, not to hit air targets, but the ground targets at the far range. The system is called Mark 41 VLS, and yes, as I said to you before, it's not in massive production, just occasionally was tested. Here are more photos with those cassettes, and that's pretty much all of the information that I have about this one for now. So delivering Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine is not the easy variant, since there is no ready-to-go solution. Nevertheless, for the last week we obtained lots of the information about Ukrainian requests to obtain this system. And knowing the fact that Mark 41 VLS system ground launcher was already tested, I think it's not the unreal request. In perspective, if there is a political will from the White House administration, Tomahawk missiles could be delivered to Ukraine, but it is understandable that delivery will take lots of the time, way more than even compared to F-16's airplanes, simply because you need to produce those systems. Well, maybe Ukraine can make it easier for United States because some of the components could be produced even in Ukraine, like the vehicles themselves, some of the components of communication systems. I think Ukraine may in general participate in this huge project, and the United States might use it for its own army later on. So Ukraine may polish it and test in a real battle conditions. Especially then we know that Ukrainian company Firepoint is producing FP5 Flamingo missiles, cruise missiles, allegedly with a range of 3,000 kilometers. It is, I would say, pretty much good alternative to even Tomahawk missiles, but the company again needs to work on precision. We saw missile in operation, but strikes were not so precise. And now Ukraine is not using those massively. From what I see, mainly those are FP1 drones or looted drones that hit the Russian infrastructure. By the way, today there was the strike in Belgorod. Later on I'm gonna tell you some of the details. So Ukraine has alternates. They're pretty much good. Ukraine knows the technology. They're very talented scientists working for Ukrainian construction bureaus. So technologically, Ukraine is pretty much advanced in this sphere. But on the other hand, Tomahawk missiles, they are proven by many of the military conflicts. The missile is very developed, it's great, and the fact that those top rank officials of United States Vice President himself said about possible Tomahawk missiles deliveries to Ukraine, wow, that's great, I would say. The sign is pretty much good. And of course, Donald Trump would be the best president if he opens the military support for Ukraine full scale. I would call vote for Trump on all of my channels, and I'll even go to the street with a big placard, vote for Trump! But I know that probably it will not happen like that, and maybe it's just rhetorics of the White House just to push Russia a little bit, that you see, you escalate with the drones and we also can do it, but I think it's after all just blah blah blah. I hope it's not like that. I hope Tomahawk missiles will be delivered to Ukraine, but the chance for it is pretty much low, I would say. So until we wait for the real actions coming from the White House administration, Ukraine already kaputted the electrical substation in Belgorod, causing this Russian city to go to the blackout entirely. Let's watch this video. Happens. And just 1 hour before that, 1 hour, military correspondents from the place reported about kaboom at the same substation. Wow! Our correspondents at the war zone really may confirm that special military operation goes according to plan. And this is the nightlife in Belgrade city itself. No electricity, no water because water pumps are not working, and no internet. Just occasionally it is possible to reach some of the connection. I think Russians should ask Elon Musk to send them Starlinks for humanitarian mission. And yeah, after all, the Belgrade substation, it's the main one in all of the region, in all of the oblasts. It doesn't feel that good. I think also Moscow should be ready for those kind of the special military operations from Ukraine.
Нормально. Он фонарик, он свечи.
Yeah, Russians, enjoy your life. Real communists, they don't need water, they don't need internet, electricity. Come on, that's just the luxury poison of capitalismus. And yeah, guys, why I'm making my stupid jokes or fun of Russians? Well, because they hit Ukraine every day. Civilian infrastructure, multi-story buildings, private buildings with lots of the civilians actually causing life losses. Lots of the life losses for Ukraine. So I think this discomfort for them to be without electricity for some period of time or without water is the least bad situation they could potentially experience, judging on what they cause actually for Ukraine. And it's the common responsibility for Russians because they elected Putin before and they are not doing anything with him. No protests, nothing. Well, in this case, expect blackouts, aviation traffic disturbances, and lack of fuel. And by the way, about fuel, there are severe disturbances in delivery of that liquid to the far regions of Russia or occupied territories. But in Moscow and St. Petersburg, for now, they have it for the higher price. Well, it seems like Russia struggles in shutting down Ukrainian drones, but Kadyrov himself, well, he sent special mobile air defense vehicles with special gunners to fight those Ukrainian drones. I think they could be kind of effective. Let me show you. Yeah. You see what I see? They basically shoot in the skies from their luxury Mercedes, BMW or whatsoever. Ahmad, Sila. Oh shit, it's so funny. Yeah, probably gay wedding celebration in Chechnya. Could be. Guys, I need to return to JD Vance. Some say that he looks like me. No, we have just the same beard, same style of the beard. No, he's not my brother, he's not my cousin, he's absolutely different, come on. Well, nevertheless, he said something about Russia here, which I want to play out for you. Let's listen.
Our view is we want peace here. We've been actively pursuing peace from the very beginning of the administration, but the Russians have got to wake up and accept reality here. A lot of people are dying. They don't have a lot to show for it. How many more people are they willing to lose? How many more people are they willing to kill for very little, if any, gain in the military advantage on the ground there? I think the answer is hopefully not that much, but certainly our attitude here is we're going to keep on working for peace, and we hope the Russians actually wake up to the reality on the ground.
Oh my freaking god, it is really a humiliation of Russia, because Putin tells about realities on the ground all the time, and here United States main officials say that Russia should accept realities on the ground, that they have tremendous losses and they're moving just little by little. If there is any sort of the movement, as JD Vance says, oh my freaking god. Well, my own conspiracy, guys, I think it was like that Putin came to Alaska, he met with Trump, and Trump asked Putin, okay Vlad, let's stop this war, I need a Nobel Prize or something like that, and after I retire you may restart your war with other United States president, but just now please stop. And Putin said, no, I want to achieve some special goals and I'm gonna reach those till the autumn time. I'm gonna occupy Donbass or something like that. So he put his goal. It's just my conspiracy. I heard some of the rumors about this one, but I think it happened like that. And then Donald Trump, after a few months, he saw, okay, Russia, where is Russia? Did they move? Oh, fuck, Pokrovsk is still under Ukrainian control, as well as Konstantinovka. Kupiansk, yeah, they went into it just recently, but Kupiansk is under Ukrainian control. Russians were not able even to occupy Chasiv Yar, and their breakthrough in Pokrovsk-Dobropilya direction was cut, and Ukraine took the ground, encircling Russian forces out there. It was a trap. So even for the freaking Donald Trump, populist politician out there, it is understandable that what Mad Vlad is doing in Ukraine is absolute nonsense. That war is just to grind his own people and grind Ukrainians. Here I 100% agree with JD Vance. This is the stupidest thing possible. And you see how Ukrainian approach really works with the current White House administration. Zelensky agreed on every possible thing. Do you want a ceasefire? Okay, let's do a ceasefire. You want negotiations in Istanbul? Yeah, we're gonna send our top delegation, our main officials. And whom Russia sent there? Medinsky, who is not even close to be the high-rank official in Russia. Russia just humiliated those negotiations. And then Donald Trump said to Zelensky, okay, go and meet with Putin. Zelensky said, of course, I want to meet with Putin, just not in Moscow. But Putin insisted on Moscow, making this totally unreal. So now, even for the stupidest MAGA Trump voter, it is understandable that Zelensky agrees with Donald Trump, but Putin doesn't agree. So Trump would look like a clown in this case if he continued to sugarcoat Putin. So they changed the rhetorics just for political benefits, political points for now. Hopefully someday it might lead to some of the support of Ukraine, I mean direct military support. There are some of the positive signs for it. But we'll see. After all, Taka is Taka. Today he has one mood, tomorrow another. Today he blames Zelensky, then he praises Zelensky, so you never ever know. He is not following the same vector, and it's the biggest downside of American policy. And we are speaking here about foreign policy, but Trump is not that competent in every sort of the branches. Economy, education, internal security issues, as well as, Ukraine. I just hope for the positive signs. I do not believe in that, but I hope, yeah? Can it be like that, this explanation? We'll see what happens. So we have those positive news. Zelensky says mega deal in works for United States arms purchases, which could be worth $90 billion. That's a lot. Yeah, it is not a direct military support from the United States of America, but nevertheless they negotiate between European countries, United States and Ukraine of what particular Ukrainian army needs for resistance, for defense, and for possible counterattack operations. Yes, still direct military support from the United States. It is faster, it is more reliable, plus it cuts some of the bureaucracy on the way, because here money goes from Europe with some of the extra audits, so lots of the stuff is in here, which breaks the entire process, but at least like that, okay? So Europeans, they need actually to invest into those programs for Ukraine, because Ukraine secures, while Ukraine resists, European countries have some time to prepare for the possible escalation on their side, which, as I told you in my previous video, is almost imminent. By the way, guys, please check out my recent video. I uploaded it on this channel. I think it's very important. Alright, in his evening address, President Zelensky stated that Russia is using its commercial vessels to launch drones towards NATO countries. He said that he has just received this information from intelligence and already shared with Western partners. He called it an escalation from the Russian side. Obviously, we see it, we witness. Drones were spotted in Denmark, in Germany, in Poland, and Norway. So definitely Russia is testing the reaction of the NATO alliance. Oh, what happened? Why so sad, Russians? What do you have, a funeral? Why? What? Should we play a special music for this occasion? You probably know which one. Solovyev, where are your eyebrows? And why are you not crying? Oh, Medinsky, who is a no-name negotiator from the Russian side in Istanbul negotiations. And who is this? Margarita. Margarita Simonyan is crying. Why Margarita? Well, because her husband, Russian propagandist and fascist, died after spending several months in coma. And why am I so happy? Why shouldn't I be happy if some of the Russian fascists died? The individual who called for flatlining all of the Ukrainians, as well as, by the way, Margarita, who was diagnosed with cancer recently. So there's the chance that she meets her husband kind of soon. And of course there will be people who say, oh, after all, it's human death. Guys, no, it is a completely different stuff. The guy, Tigran, who passed away, he did absolutely everything possible to dehumanize Ukrainians, to make it normal for Russians to go and fight in Ukraine. It is a Russian propaganda, a machine that tells, no, they're not humans, they're Nazis, they're ho-holes. It's okay if you go there, if you loot, if you zero them, they're not us, no, they do not look like us. They're traitors, they sold their soul to West, they forgot our heritage of the Russian Empire and Soviet Union. You should punish them. That is what they tell from their TV. That's the main goal of this Russian propaganda. Just Google a radio of 1,000 hills and you'll understand the principle of this dehumanization. And because of this brainwashing of the Russian population from TV, radio, media, newspapers, it is 1,000 times easier for the Russian regime to cause its people to go and fight and die for literally nothing. So those guys like Tigran, like this Margarita, they're pure evil. And as a normal human being who is happy about positive stuff, you know, good weather, flowers, nature, rainbow, unicorns, I'm also happy about this case. That there will be less of those Russian propagandists, and some of them Russia actually cannot replace because they're quite unique. Like Solovyov, like this Margarita Simonyan, they have their own followers, their own pool. And if the host is no more, well, there is less propaganda. And it's not easy, again, to replace and build those propagandists from the very beginning. And in this case, I think it's impossible to replace, for example, Tigran. There is simply no such a guy with that open hatred charisma. Well, the only thing I regret in this case is that it wasn't the Ukrainian special forces or intelligence services who did it. No, it was a natural cause. Yeah, kind of the sad news we have from Crimea, the place where Ukraine recently captured some of the helicopters and airplanes. Well, Russia uses this airfield also to launch Shahid drones towards Ukraine. The last week they deployed the starting spots for those drones. Why bad news? Well, bad in general because Russia uses occupied territories for their military purposes, creating some threat for people. And also this story is bad for me because I used to spend lots of the time in Kachia when I was a kid. Originally I was born in Crimea and yeah, it is the place that I like. So I have kind of the good memories. Then Kachia was a Ukrainian small town with just this airfield that was rented for Russia. And now Russia is using this place to target Ukraine. It is very, very terrible. Very, like, they destroyed everything, all of the heritage, all of the history, and the common sense, I would say. Yeah, it's terrible that my lovely Kachi is used for this purpose. Yeah, just fuck Russian regime. And sorry guys, no frontline military map update in this video. I'm waiting for interesting and I hope positive news. I'm gonna update you about that one tomorrow. And now I just want to share my thanks to Patreon supporters and also members of my channel. Guys, if you really want to support my motivation and if you want me to film high quality content, I guess, please welcome to my Patreon. The link for it is in the video description just below, or join my membership if you're a constant viewer of my channel. Thank you so much for your kind support. And I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.